last time we had left off, our little band of adventurers had kind of, wandered about in Bastion, kind of gotten their ways, and informed their good friend, was it Ebron, that you should probably post some guards near the entrance to the second floor. Make sure that some riders of the walls are just kind of there to keep the people in check. Just in case there's, any curious kids or anything like that. Um, you guys did a little bit of downtime, kind of went through and cleaned up a bit of Bastion, and honestly, it went pretty well. And you got some bonuses. If I recall correctly, your ship is giving you a +1 to all ability checks until the 22nd of Algordia. Bastion itself, for its next GM roll, will have a +1 to its check, which obviously you guys won't know, but I will tell you if I use it. Um,
Nice.
and a few other things. You also found out a little bit of a strange, almost prophecy, fortune, something like that, visions from the third writers group, of which you guys kind of contacted, spoke with them, and kind of got a little bit of an exploration of what it might mean. But after that, you decided to hop aboard your boat and begin to head towards the city of Vinewater. Having left Bastion itself with your ship in probably relatively decent shape. Unfortunately, still no ammo for the ballistas on board, and I believe the ballistas themselves aren't quite fixed yet. Like you still need like strings or something. Um, but yeah, departing towards the city of Vinewater to, at the very least, avoid, skirt around the gigantic and potentially extremely dangerous Thunderbird of which you guys had encountered in the Edgelands, of which is still very much a present threat, just one that you guys have chosen to ignore for the time being, given that it doesn't seem to be actively pursuing any sort of its own goals. But as you guys wandered out into sea, the unfortunate occurrences, or sorry, not sea, to the lakes, um, is that the kind of weather got real bad real quick. Unfortunately, regardless of these being lakes and being much more calm than it would be if it was across the sea, um, still there are massive waves due to the storms, due to just the sheer size of it, causing various different kind of issues with it. But fortunately, most of you are relatively experienced, or at the very least are guided well enough that you do your jobs with no issues. You keep watch and manage to keep the ship from crashing into the rocks of the shore. But in the early morning hours, as you guys can sort of proceed onwards throughout the night, the storm unfortunately does not abate, but the winds calm down ever so slightly as the sun begins to just kind of illuminate the tops of the clouds, causing this entire sky to light up this dark, dim gray. The water continues to pour down from above, and it's a very heavy and hefty rain, to say the very least, and it's probably not the most comfortable for those who are aboard and on the decks. In the deck immediately below the main deck, you can feel and see through the kind of grate that is just above that the storm is kind of pretty bad. And though it doesn't really get onto your actual supplies, it does, doesn't feel the best to be walking through the rain and trudging through it. At this current moment, your good old pal More has just recently finished his rest and is kind of still going about his duties as captain and taking care of the ship. At the helm currently and just kind of proceeding onwards, doing his best. Now, you guys have several days of travel ahead of you. You are technically, because you are within the ship, allowed to do some various activities that the ship could allow you to do, if you so wished. If you don't, you could just ignore it and just say we proceed onwards for the next couple of days. This is the benefits of the ship. One, that it travels ever so slightly faster, and two, that it potentially allows you to do some downtime activities, so long as it's not interrupted. Sorry.
Less.
You guys have approximately 3 days, I believe it was. Let me check the ruler measurements. Yeah, you guys have approximately 2 days until you reach the small town of which you guys had kind of ransacked before, where you had seen that psychic shark. From how much you've already traveled, probably just slightly less than a day, you would probably arrive at that location in just right after sunset if you were to want to settle down. Or if you wanted to keep going, that is also perfectly fine. But for now, it is the morning of the 17th of Algoria, I believe. Yes, it's the morning of the 17th of Algoria. And yeah, what are you guys up to?
Well, Hoj is kind of freaking exhausted. Oh, he's gonna try to take it easy.
Sure.
I am not gonna do anything that involves controlling the ship.
Understandable.
Linear will just keep watch, hone his eyes and ears on any strange noises.
Okay. Leonore, as you're kind of keeping watch, do you go above decks or do you remain below? It's very difficult to see out below decks, given that honestly the only thing that you can see would be the grate between the top deck and the middle deck.
Yeah, I'd be in the upper deck, but I'd be looking down to the waters, not
Okay.
towards the land.
Specifically away from the land, right?
Yeah, like I'm paying attention to the waters, seeing this we get sneak attacked from anything there.
Okay. Give
That's
me
my focus.
a perception check. 12.
Okay.
Not bad. As you're kind of trying to pay you're trying to do your best to pay as much attention as possible to kind of see if there's anything dangerous that might be going on. Glancing out towards the actual lake, as open as and as wide and as beautiful as it is, you can see that fortunately, because it is a lake, it's enclosed by land and all areas around, and probably due to how relatively shallow it is comparatively to a lot of other locations, it's good that it probably doesn't have too much waves and turbulence and things like that. It's rather controlled and calm comparatively, but it is still very much kind of rowdy, and it fits this somewhere in between range of like an actual ocean and a lake that you can just look over and be basically completely still. But even through the harsh rain, as you kind of like blink your double eyelids, clearing up the rain from your eyesight, looking past over into the Xenobar Lake itself, you do see several things. One, something that kind of catches your eye in the vague distance, far, far away. It almost appears to be a different ship, though unfortunately due to the amount of fog, rain, and kind of just the general weather effects, it's difficult to tell whether you actually saw another ship or if it's just kind of shapes in the fog that kind of give you the impression that there might be a ship in the far distance. You spot it, from what you believe, several times, but no, it just kind
Cool.
of disappears and fades very quickly as soon as you kind of lay eyes upon it.
Cool. What was that? Yeah. Yeah. Anyone that got a eyeglass?
I think Moray does,
Sadly,
but
you not.
unfortunately, the player who is playing Moray is not here, and as such, Moray is currently too focused on the wheel. But as you kind
Okay.
of stand out and just kind of like try and squint your eyes out towards the actual ship itself, um, give me a charisma saving throw.
Okay. That's my worst one.
You did see it. It was definitely there, but you're not really sure. But yeah, it's probably not that dangerous. It's too far away to really be of worry.
Ah,
Who's out
I'm
on
sure
the
he's fine.
sea?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Who's out on the sea? That's mad scary. There's nobody good out here.
I'm sure it's fine.
Something else that you also spot within the lake is this large fin that kind of pops out of the water. And unfortunately, due to its distance and kind of like the rain, the actual weather, it's difficult to tell how large it is, but it looks like it droops about halfway down, like halfway up the actual fin itself, which seems to tell you that it's rather large. Like it actually droops and the top of the fin kind of folds inwards on
Like it
itself.
flaps over.
Yeah, like it
Okay.
flaps over,
Yeah.
kind of like a floppy dog's ear. Except
Mhm.
from what you could tell, like this entire fin is pretty rigid for the most part. Maybe it's like an injury that this sea creature, that this or lake creature had like sustained, or maybe it's just like a real fucking big thing, and just because of how large it's grown, that thing kind of bent over. Not entirely sure, but you see this fin kind of traveling, not necessarily parallel to your ship, but just kind of slightly away in a northeastern direction before it vanishes into the weather. And once more, you are left alone. But for the rest of the day, thankfully, nothing else exciting kind of strikes your eyesight or your eye line. And the waters, they begin to get a little bit murkier and darker as you approach and get closer to the dark lake. Did anybody else below decks want to do anything? Elena, Noah, or Hoach?
Uh, only Leonare saw that.
I feel like Leonare probably would have informed you.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I wouldn't tell you like right away. I'd give you like a few minutes. Like I'm
Mhm.
not yelling it out that
As you
there's
see it.
danger. I'm just like, oh, this is what I saw today.
Okay.
Yeah. Just over lunch or something.
So yeah, that's unsettling. But no, Hoj is just chilling today.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Noah wouldn't react in any way to that information except other than staying below deck where it's safe. Asterisk.
Where it's safe, I think.
It's Selena's meditating.
Right?
You know what Noah's gonna do? He's just gonna light a few candles and just like pray for good passage really.
Give me a religion check. Okay.
Oh ho!
As you're sitting there kind of praying, this constant din of rain pounding the outside of the actual ship itself, the drips of water leaking in from the mid sections of the ship, the smell of damp wood and water kind of filtering in through the entirety of the area. The rocking of the ship kind of brings you into a sense of almost tranquility as you continue these prayers underneath your breath. And surrounded by these candles, you kind of utter these words. And all of a sudden, you feel a spark, a connection that you've never felt before. But something that feels so indescribably real. And you hear a single word mutter from this deep, guttural, echoing voice. Help.
Uh-oh.
Before the connection fades and you shoot to your feet, almost like you've been hit by a bolt of lightning, and you can feel this tingles of godly power within you. You temporarily gain access to the spell called Lightning
Oh,
until your next long rest.
okay.
You only have one use of it.
Okay.
That's a 6 spell. What? Just got blessed.
Nah, it's a trap. It's a trap. Don't
It's
trust
a
it.
trap. It's from my god.
God's trying to bait you.
So Noah, what do you do?
I'm gonna reassure everyone. Everything's going fine.
Well,
I think our god has us in his
to everyone
you know.
else, it looks like nothing really happened. It was just a flash of lightning outside, and then you basically jolted upright as soon as that flash came out.
You scared of some lightning?
I'm gonna tell everyone that although it is a very alarming, feat of nature, it simply means we're in good hands.
I sure hope so.
Whatever you say.
You kooky priest.
Just lightning, dude.
It's not that deep, bro.
Yeah.
Just lightning.
All right. Yeah. The remainder of your time passes by relatively calmly. For Hoj and Elena, as you're just kind of sitting there, meditating, enjoying your time. Hoj, give me another Constitution saving throw. If you can succeed on this, you can eliminate your exhaustion early. You do succeed. The DC was 15. Congratulations. You are no longer exhausted.
I don't know how I feel about the jump scare dice.
Yes.
Well, I suppose you'll see. But eventually, Moray kind of calls out from above decks. Ahoy! We're approaching the small town. Did we want to stop?
Did
Let's
we?
look at the map. A small town?
No, the
It's
small
the
town.
town that
This is the
it's
this,
the town.
yeah, it's the one with the shark.
Remind us
town.
the other riders, the third riders, right?
This is where
They-
they had come, yes.
Yeah. What did they accomplish?
They had come here to
killed-
investigate what you guys had left behind and to see if there was anything useful that they could pull from here, which they did.
They killed the shark guy.
They also killed the shark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not necessarily
no
on purpose, but you know.
Yeah, no point in stopping here.
No, there's nothing left for us.
Aye aye, mateys. And he proceeds onwards. I'm gonna give him a Constitution saving throw because he's been driving the ship all day in the
Uh-oh.
rain.
Wait, I'm gonna give Moray guidance.
Guidance does not help with saves.
Oh, I thought you said a skill. Oh
Yeah.
man.
He's the unknown who
That's
knows how
a
to pilot
9.
the
Was it
ship.
not?
No, it
No,
doesn't.
it's a different spell.
It's
I forget what
resistance
spell
that
it
gives
is.
you help
Yeah.
against with saves.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys eventually at one point you guys hear Moray kind of calling out, and he's basically saying that, you know, he's gonna pass out on the wheel. It's real rough. The weather's not good for his complexion.
Uh-oh.
So he needs someone else to take over.
I can go.
He kind of gives you the lowdown, gives you the rundown, basically telling you everything that you need to know in
me in,
regards
coach.
to the ship as much as possible to try and help you. So he does give you like instructions and kind of like tell you how to respond to certain things. If this goes like this, you should respond like that. You know, if the rudder starts turning all of a sudden like this, then you gotta start flipping it like that. But yeah, kind of gives you guys all the rundown before he just passes out, not away.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
My time's
oopsies,
come.
dies. No, he passes out in the actual captain's cabin and just kind of like falls asleep on the bed behind the curtains, leaving the rest of you to do the rest of the watch. As the evening kind of approaches, you You
So,
guys-
in addition to all the technical knowledge that was given, I'm also going to give spiritual guidance, aka guidance,
okay. To Hoj.
to Hoj.
All right, Hoj. You can make me either an athletics or an acrobatics check to kind of maneuver and control the boat. The DC is 12.
So I'll do athletics.
Okay, yeah. Absolutely no
guidance.
issues. You can roll me a d4. Yeah, let's see it. Do you get a 25?
Roll.
That's a 24. That's pretty good still. Yeah, no, you managed to hold on to the actual wheel. It feels comfortable. You've been on ships before, and it doesn't feel terribly different from actually kind of, manning smaller ships. However, this larger ship does feel kind of a little bit more imposing as you're controlling it. It's relatively responsive, and you've done some very good work kind of repairing it and maintaining it to the point where it is in a good state. It's just unfortunate that Moray is kind of passing out because he loves to drive the ship. But yeah, you take over, and for the next. All right, did you want to take over for the night and continue on through the night, or did you guys want to anchor down and wait until the morning? Because it does look like the storm will subside, but probably not in the next couple of hours.
I defer that decision to the proper sea people.
I'm hesitant to do that just because of what you saw before.
Aren't you also
What
exhausted?
is I don't know, what is the priest thing?
It's a bit beyond Noah's realm of judgment, but hmm. How big are the waves, Jake?
Just currently, they're actually not terribly bad. Most of the waves are just causing the ship to rock back and forth. They're nothing like dangerous. If they
Mhm.
were, if you were a little bit closer to shore, they would probably be a lot worse. Currently, the heights that are reaching maybe about halfway up the side of the boat, so maybe like 3 meters, 3.5 meters in feet. That's like
Okay.
about 10, 15 feet.
Hmm. I feel like Noah's kind of dumb, and you would think that's safer to put down the anchor and wait out the storm.
Moray is asleep. He cannot. His opinion cannot be provided.
Okay. I believe we should wait too.
If it's safer.
All right. Might as well anchor down
So
in the storm.
as you kind of rush up to the actual deck itself, you release the actual anchor, and you feel the chains, the actual heavy wrought iron device kind of slowly as it just descends into the depths, and you hear a loud thud. Actually, you wouldn't be able to hear it, but you do feel the loud thud on the actual ship itself as the kind of chains gets to the very end and just goes taut. And the entire boat, it doesn't like lurch, but it does shift backwards ever so slightly as the anchor is now keeping it kind of in place. But you do feel that your entire ship is kind of like turning around as the current is carrying it towards the dark lake, but the anchor is keeping it here closer to where you guys are. And in the far, far distance in the night sky, you can see what appears to be some lights. And as you're kind of standing out on deck, whoever might be lowering the anchor, you are fairly certain that those lights come from the city of Foyle.
Oh.
Which is strange, because last you checked, it was a city infested by zombies.
Well, yeah, something like zombies. But there was the church that had like the lights, or it looked like it was lit up.
The rays.
There was the
It's
church,
the siren's call.
and then there was also at the very top of the actual area itself, there was like a sunbeam that was kind of shining down upon the courtyard of the castle.
Does the light look like like normal city lights, or does it like is there something off about it?
Give me a Arcana check. From just your current view, you're kind of glancing out towards it. You try and keep it as steady as possible. Unfortunately, just due to the nature of the weather and the kind of like distance with the lights, it's almost impossible to tell. They seem to be yellowish, maybe orange, so possibly either the light from a torch or a large bonfire. It could be either or, you're not entirely sure. Or it could be a magical flame that's been setting something large alight that's just making it harder to see in this distance. Or it could just be like someone's really, really big lantern that's just been hung up outside of their castle or something. It's almost impossible to tell.
Hmm. It's it's quite unsettling to think about that town almost looking like it's alive.
Hmm.
Is it that bad though? What if it's like good there? What if they're like chilling?
What if they built back better?
I highly doubt that.
That's fair.
We could stop by there if people wanted to check it out.
Maybe on the way back. Well, yeah, maybe on the way back. But we got other things to check on.
Fair enough. So we can just note that down in our logbook for now.
What if the lights are gone?
Then it's just all the more reason to come back later and check.
Good point.
But the night goes on. Do you guys take watches? Or do you just let it be?
We should do watches.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
do watch.
Alright. Who's on first watch?
Noah can be on first watch.
Alright, Noah. If I remember correctly, you do not have dark vision.
That is correct. I have the cantrip light though.
Are you going to cast it?
No.
Well, then give me. I was like, I mean, you have it, sure, but are you going to? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could. You definitely could.
No.
But give me a perception check with disadvantage. I believe with disadvantage, it's just
Oof.
hold control when you click the wall, and it should just do it for you.
You get a +1 to your check, right?
You do get a +1 to all of your checks because of the boat.
Right. Okay.
Because the boat's in such good condition. You guys are such high morale.
Whoa.
12 and 18.
So it is a disadvantage, so it is a 12. Yeah, you kind of stay aboard on top of the actual deck itself. You kind of try your best to keep as dry as possible, but it's nearly impossible given how much rain that there is. But thankfully, the winds seem to be dying down, and the sounds of kind of lightning and thunder are subsiding, so they don't seem to be nearly as prevalent. But at that moment, as you're kind of standing up on the actual deck itself, it's quiet, it's peaceful, almost. But it is tense, because out within the darkness, it is impossible to tell, really, what anything nearby is, especially given that there is no moonlight. Your eyes adjust, but they can only ever adjust so much before they need a source of light. And currently, in this middle of the night, nothing can be seen. It's just pitch
Nothing.
black about 100 feet from the ship, and that's all that you can see,
Mm.
even with your eyes adjusted to the darkness. But thankfully, it seems that your watch goes by with no issues. Who do you wake for the second watch?
Definitely gonna wake up Leonard.
Sorry, who?
Leonard.
Leonard? Okay.
Okay. I also don't have dark vision.
Ooh, you also invoke Dark Vision. Well, Leonaire, give me a perception check with disadvantage as well.
I will give him guidance though, as I go to the cot.
Yeah, unfortunately, guidance only lasts a minute, and this is kind of like
Does it
long.
really?
Yeah, this is like a
Uh,
long-term check.
I see.
Is it 1 minute or 1 hour? I'm pretty sure it's
Let
1
me tell
minute.
you.
I think it's a
Because
minute.
I think it's concentration too.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So you give him the
Yep,
blessing, you
up
give
to
him the
1
good
minute.
luck, and he unfortunately has to spend the entire next 2 hours watching. So it just unfortunately would not take effect. But yeah. Leonard, much the same to you, even with your kind of like slitted eyes that opens as much as possible to expose as much of it to light as possible. It is almost impossible, really, to see anywhere further than maybe 90, 100 feet from the actual ship itself. The the lake's waves are relatively calm comparatively to when the storm was raging, but it is still very much present, and you can hear this hard thudding of all this raindrops hitting the side of the wooden ship, and some of it hitting the tarps that are folded up above, and some hitting the metallic railings that you've got, and some of them, of course, hitting you. But the next 2 hours, thankfully, are just as quiet as Noah's watch was. Who do you wake for the third watch?
How about Elena?
Sure.
Sure. Elena, give me a perception check. I believe you have dark vision.
Yes, sir.
So yours is just flat. Nice. As you kind of climb up onto deck, rubbing your eyes all the meanwhile, you do see that the storm is starting to subside significantly more. The rain, rather than being as heavy as it was previously, now seems to be much lighter and just kind of like a distant din in the distance rather than upfront, personal, and kind of very loud in your ears. It's much more soothing and much more kind of appropriate to what you expect a proper calm rainstorm would be. For the most part, the clouds above you are still very much present, but in the distance you can see that some of them have parted ways to give way to the stars above. And it's a beautiful night. X, do you have noise suppression on your mic?
I will turn it on.
Are you on your phone?
I am on my phone.
This guy.
It's driving.
Are you driving?
Yes,
Oh my god.
I was trying to pick up AirPods and they turned out to be fake. After
No.
This fucking dumbass.
Awkward.
I did not buy them,
Shakes
but they are
head.
fake.
Shakes head.
Anyway, go on.
Anyways. But the third watch is calm. It's beautiful. And the sky does begin to clear as you are taking your watch. In the far distance, you can see the twin moons of Adriosa rising in the and just kind of taking over the night sky with how large they are. And just slowly they kind of move behind the clouds. And you watch as time passes. And the area around you is quiet, it's peaceful. You kind of sit up at the back of the ship, just leaning over, and you can see that there isn't anything nearby, thankfully. However, in the far, far distance, in where you would assume Voilin is, there is lights, or flickering of lights, or movement, or something within the castle at the very top of the city. You don't know if it's the movement of the actual lights that are causing you to think that there's movement, or if it's something else, but there is, at the very least, something going on within that castle. What is it? It's completely unknown to you. But the lights look like torches, maybe bonfires. it's hard to tell at this distance, especially since the rain is still very much present and kind of making it harder to see that far away. Glancing back towards the small town of which you guys had previously come from, glancing into the sky, you can see that the crowds of seagulls that were previously there are completely absent. Not a single one of them can be seen near the warehouse or anywhere around the warehouse, in that matter of fact. They can't even be seen on aboard your boats, and now that you're thinking about it, you realize that you actually haven't seen any seagulls, which is very surprising given your proximity to the actual lakes. That while, yes, they are called seagulls, they are still attracted to bodies of water. Especially how many there were previously. You don't know if they all died or if they just all left.
Yeah. And make sure
You-
to
Would make sense, but none is weird.
I write down everything in the logbook.
Mm-hmm. The information is kind of noted down a little bit before eventually your watch comes to an end safely, quietly, and at the end of your watch, the night does get even more quiet as the rain actually does properly stop. Who do you wake for the last watch?
I will wait. I guess Maury.
Okay. You wake the person driving and muted.
I mean, who else can make it? Everyone else.
I've already done my shift. Just to clarify, I had first watch.
No, this is the next night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wake me up. Am I still tied to the post?
Definitely not.
Okay.
You actually had some time to rest below decks.
All right.
Thankfully.
Ring her up.
Yeah. Oh, that is not the one. But yeah, I guess I'll have to roll for you because you're not here, but
Please and thanks, Jake. I apologize.
yeah, no, it's all good. Next time, go get your fucking things after.
Go get scammed
Or
I
some
out.
thought I
other
was gonna-
times, bro. This guy. Well, regardless, because Mori has a level of exhaustion, he's taking his perception check at disadvantage. 15. That's not bad. But the rest of you wake Mori up. He's not exactly happy about it, but he does go aboard on top of the actual deck itself, glances around, and attempts to do his very best to, at the very least, take a look and kind of ensure that the rest of the surroundings are as quiet as they're supposed to be. And thankfully, for the most part, your watch is also quiet. But you do also spot this strange kind of flickering lights within the city of Voilen, at the very top, within the castle, that you guys had previously seen a sunbeam kind of like land upon the actual city, or the castle itself. But glancing back towards the small town of where you guys had previously come from, or had explored previously, it's quiet, and honestly, it's basically ransacked. You can see that a lot of the buildings, now that there's a little bit of sunlight, given that, it's getting closer and closer to daytime, you can see that the majority, if not all of the buildings, have either been like taken over, they've had like their doors busted down, various different things. It's not a lot of buildings, but it looks like your third riders were pretty thorough when they came in to investigate this area. They took everything that was of use and they kind of left and went back. Yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second. There it is.
the city. Nothing's out of the ordinary. The city.
Well, the seagulls are now completely gone. Not a single one of them can be seen, and frankly, strangely, you haven't seen any sort of life in this area. But all of you give me a wisdom saving throw. I will roll one for your companion, your friend, your buddy who's not here.
Oh man.
Wisdom save.
Wisdom saving.
No.
Do it this time to deserve it.
No.
Oh,
It's
Moray
not-
rolled a 6. Elena rolled a 6. Hoj rolled a 6.
The 7 actually.
It's a 7 for all three of you, but that doesn't matter because all those are failures. Thankfully, Leonare and Noah's are successes. Leonare and Noah, the two of you are kind of glancing out towards the actual warehouse. If you feel like something strange is coming because it looks like the waves almost kind of have this ripple that approaches your boat coming from the source of the actual source being this warehouse that you had previously seen the shark in. So the two of you managed to brace in time, both your mind and your will, and for a brief moment it just feels like your entire head gets struck with the most intense headache you've ever had. Before, boom, just as fast as it came, it's gone. Noah, Leonare, you're perfectly fine. But as you kind of glance out towards your companions, Elena, Hoj, and Moray, the three of you are just doubled over in pain. You are sickened, and at that very moment, it feels like your entire body is kind of giving out on you. All three of you take 8 points of psychic damage.
Ow.
Can I go over like, are you?
How do I take
what
that from
happened?
here? Right
You
quick.
you
Alright.
should be able to do that from just your character sheet. You could just subtract it from your
I'll just
your total. Ooh.
Wait a minute.
Sometimes you have to do it a little bit manual.
Wait, this is wrong. I should have proficiency in wisdom as well as charisma saving throws. Something's wrong. How can I fix that?
Hmm?
I don't have proficiency in wisdom saving throws, but I should. Because I'm a cleric.
Should you? Wait, sorry, let me double check. I think what I said was that you get all of the saving. No, you get the proficiencies, the saving throw proficiencies of your main class, and then you pick one from your other class, right? So you should have 3.
I should have 3, yeah. For some reason. Yeah, I only have the 2 for my main one, though.
And which 2 are your main ones? You have strength and
Strength
constitution.
and const. Yeah.
What does cleric give? It's
Wisdom and charisma.
So you would have charisma saving throw proficiency, not wisdom, because it's 2 weak ones and 1 strong one, and your strong one is your constitution.
Oh.
It's the same thing with everybody else's sheet. Elena has
Okay.
proficiency in con, intelligence, and strength, and intelligence and strength are the two weak ones. And same thing with Moray. He's got dex saving throws as his main one, but he's got charisma and intelligence as his weak ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you do have 3 proficiencies with your saving throws, but it's 2 weak one and 1 strong one.
Okay.
In this context, strong means it's more prevalent. It's like the core of a lot of spells
Constitution.
versus so like constitution, dexterity, and wisdom are the 3 big ones, while the other 3 are like the small ones, the weak ones.
Okay.
But yes. Yeah. And the 3 of you just have this pounding headache. Fortunately, nothing else seems to be wrong with them, but as you're kind of just like glancing over them, they have symptoms of just poisoning. And for the next hour, all 3 of you are poisoned. Leonare and Noah excluded.
Do we take
Poisoned.
additional damage, or is it just like the other effects?
No, you just have the poisoned state. The poisoned state means everything that you do with a d20 is at disadvantage, except for saving throws, I believe. I'll have to double check. Yeah, it's all attacks and abilities checks that you take at disadvantage.
Ow, my head. I, it hurts. Can we?
What the hell is that?
Yeah. Should watch out, eh?
Watch
Watch
out
out
for
for
what?
what?
For whatever happened.
That's the thing. We don't know what happened.
Oh yeah, but we gotta keep an eye out in case something happens.
How about we get out of here?
I agree.
All right.
Hmm.
And
I can cure someone of poison, but it's very costly.
yeah, if you had a paladin, which I don't think you guys do, unfortunately.
I could do it, but I don't want to waste all my spell slots.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you guys begin to kind of take off, Noah, the two of you are the only ones who are really kind of feeling up to it. So the two of you grab the actual anchor wheel and begin to slowly lift the anchor back up from the bottom of the ocean, or sorry, lake, and it's slow going, but you do manage to get the anchor all the way back up off the side, out of the actual water itself, and onto the side of the ship. And as you kind of like glance over the anchor really quickly, something strikes you as weird as the two of you glance over the actual anchor itself through just like a hole in the side of the railing. It almost looks like the anchor is covered in blood as it gets pulled out of the water.
Uh,
Can I see if I'm like looking at an illusion? How would I do that?
Give me a perception check or investigation check. Actually, sorry, no, this would be an investigation check for illusions.
It would be investigation.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, from the best that you can tell, you can't. It doesn't seem like an illusion. It's just a bit of red that's kind of like slowing off of the side of the anchor now, and you can see that the top half of like the top surfaces of the anchor are now covered in this like slightly, not necessarily dried, but just like pooled and coagulated blood-like substances that are just on the very top of it, and it's very strange.
did I use my poisonous kit to determine if that was the poison, the blood?
You'd have to climb off the side of the boat and onto the anchor. Do you want to do that?
Nah, don't do that, Leonard. Stay back.
Like you could. I'm not stopping you.
Hey, because it's against the ship. I'd have to. It's on the side, right?
Yeah, it's on the side of the ship. It's like
Yeah.
hanging free off the side of the ship. Like the actual chains themselves, they go on top of the deck and into this like wheel, but the chains themselves surprisingly are not covered in blood. It's just like the anchor.
I'll do it. I'll just go off the side, grab a sample.
All right, give me an athletics check.
I'll give him guidance. Stay careful,
Sure.
Leonard.
Oh shit.
Give me the guidance roll. 12? I'd say that's enough. It's not like it's a difficult thing. You're just hopping off the side, still grabbing onto the railing, and at one point you're like, oh shit, I'm not grabbing onto the railing tight enough. So you drop your first sample, and you kind of like grab back onto the railing with both hands before you steady yourself, and then you kind of like climb down a little bit more, lock your feet in, and then you grab the actual sample itself and kind of do a little bit of the testing. So now give me, what was it that you wanted to do? It was like a poisoner's kit or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a poisoner's kiss tool check with wisdom as your modifier.
Let me just. I don't really have rolls for this. I'm gonna roll.
You should have it as an item. The poisoner's kit.
Yeah, I don't think it's set up for that.
It should be.
Roll.
Yeah, there it is. I don't know if that +6 is your wisdom, but Is your
Yeah,
wisdom
it
a
is.
plus
I
4?
mean, it is.
Okay, then yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. So d20, it's a total of 10. Unfortunately, even with the kind of like tools that you have that you're provided by the actual kit itself, you can figure out that the actual you can't figure out what substance this is. It smells like blood, looks like blood, but you can definitely tell that it's not a poison. Like it's not poisoned specifically.
Okay.
However, you can't really tell what kind of substance it might be. It could be just like a really, really powerful and kind of like magical type of poison and just not within your expertise, but it doesn't look like any sort of typical poison that you would be aware of.
Hmm. Okay.
Specifically because you met DC 10, you can definitely tell that the anchor, not poisoned. However, your 3 companions, they're not poisoned in the traditional sense. You're fairly certain that they're just psychically sick. Like something
Okay.
caused them to have this massive wave of nausea within their brains. Like they're essentially having very minor brain hemorrhages or concussions. It's not a good time overall for them. But yeah. You get back aboard the ship, kind of the anchor is now pulled loose, and the ship slowly starts to turn around as Moray, drunkenly and as unfortunate as he's going through, he is kind of trying to pilot the ship and turn it around. And he does. And kind of shifts the ship in such a way that it begins to properly carry into the Dark Lake as the rest of you get to work, kind of loosening up the sails so that you have a bit of a wind behind your back, and continues to traverse south towards the Vine Water. Now, the first leg of your journey has been completed. I need someone else to roll me a d100 for the second leg of your journey.
I'm mentally incapacitated, so I can't.
Anybody will do,
Is
including
is a D100
d100.
also disadvantaged?
No. Ooh, I got one from Noah. Okay. You rolled exactly 50.
That's so in character for Noah.
Yeah, it is.
Incredibly neutral.
We should get a bonus for
Yeah,
that.
it is.
Could
Really.
be
Honestly-
better, could be worse.
Damn, Kavaki really came
Sure.
through on that one.
Bro, Kavati's like, he's looking out for you, man. He is looking out for you, bro.
Perfectly
He's got your
balanced.
fucking back. As you guys are kind of traversing away from Voilin, some of you take this time to kind of get rid of the very minor bit of cabin fever you've been experiencing, mainly because you've been staying in within the actual deck probably a little too long, and being suffocated by just a massive amount of rain doesn't really help with that. But now that you have proper fresh air, looking out over the skies, it is a light overcast, and it's probably a bit chilly. For the Americans, probably what 40, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and for the Canadians, probably somewhere in the ranges of just over 10 degrees to 15 degrees. I don't know if that's accurate, but it sounded accurate in my head, so I'm going to pretend it is. It's like a chilly day. Probably not comfortable to wear a t-shirt. But as you're kind of continuing onwards, the two of you who aren't really sickened, you glance backwards, and Noah, you kind of look into the dark lake and into the distance, and you can see something approach from beneath the actual waters itself. And what do you do?
I'm gonna immediately call out and warn everybody. Brace for impact, probably. How fast does it look like it's moving?
It looks like it's going pretty darn fast.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna tell everyone to brace for impact. I'm gonna brace myself.
All right.
Uh-oh.
All of you give me a strength saving throw. Those of you who are poisoned do not have disadvantage on this because this is a saving throw, not a skill check or attack.
What is happening?
Oh, brother.
What is happening?
Oh man.
Oh, brother.
Brace.
Oh wait, I gotta roll for Mori. Let's see. Strength saving throw. That's an 18. Mori actually did pretty good. He passed. The only one who didn't is Hooch. But as all of you are kind of like bracing for impact, this thing kind of like, rather than actually hitting the boat, all of you grab onto the sides of the boat and just prep yourself to be hit. But thankfully, it just seems to skirt by. It goes directly underneath your boat and just goes past it. As you run towards the front of the boat, you can see it just kind of like speeding away. This thing is going like a solid 60, maybe 70 miles an hour. This thing is fast.
Oh man.
I fall on the ground. Thump.
Yeah, the rest of you turn around to hear Hoj trip as he tries to run to the front.
Oh my god, are you okay, Hoj?
What was that? Where am I?
Or was that thing running away from something, and then Mori just looks back?
Moray, as you kind of glance and run back to the back of the ship once again, you now glance back over this area where it had come from, and for a brief moment you don't see anything. And then all of a sudden you see something.
No.
Multiple
Uh-oh.
something.
No.
As you
Oh
see
no.
dozens. No, probably, oh, that's hundreds
Uh,
of very similar
Oh no.
dark shapes having appeared beneath the water, all speeding their way towards all of you. And you can see that your ship itself is actually being carried and pushed forward by this massive eddy current and kind of wave that these creatures are forming underneath the water as they just begin to pull your ship forward. As they don't hit it, thankfully, even though you do brace for impact again, but they do go directly underneath your ship, almost kind of like picking it up ever so slightly.
Oh man. Do we have the sails up or down?
The sails are up currently, and they are kind of like in a slightly different direction than where these things are going.
Okay, so sorry. When you say sails are up, is it
Sorry. The sails are down. They are open.
open? Okay. Um.
You are running at Assassin's
Quick-
Creed Dark Flag
Yeah, go ahead.
max speed.
Yeah. What direction are they pulling us to? Like in like 5 seconds, like
They-
Mori wants to make a decision.
They are
Try to-
100% are going towards the Dark Lake and into the deeper portions of it. Probably towards the center of the Dark Lake more, and
Can
much
Mori
further
give
than you'd
instructions
like.
to like the crew to like avoid their direction, like try to fight, use the ship, whatever, rudder, sails,
Right.
get
So,
organized and try
so
to fight this.
so you and the ship are going to try and get yourselves out of their pull.
Yes.
Okay. And you can see from far behind them, there is probably an incredibly long stream of them. And you don't know how many of these creatures there are, but there's a fuck ton of them. And it is kind of terrifying. And I'm going to change the music to something a little bit more intense.
Let's see here.
But now I'm gonna be scared.
Well, hopefully not too scared.
Fear is just the mind killer.
Exactly. But okay, so we are beginning a skill challenge for all of you. Now, I'm going to open this challenge tracker. This challenge tracker is a required 5 successes before you hit 5 failures. Boom.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
This is your challenge tracker for this ongoing challenge. Now, at this very moment, you hear and see that Mori has already instructed you to begin kind of moving your ship away from this thing, away from this kind of current, this tide that these creatures are creating, especially since they seem to be wanting to pull you deeper into the Dark Lake, specifically towards the center of it, while you, obviously, probably not something you want, especially given, the strange name of one, the Dark Lake, and two, how these creatures could be incredibly dangerous. So you begin to fight it. Moray, you would the first to act, you kind of instruct everybody else to go and do certain actions. Did you want that to count as your first action?
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty decent one.
Okay. Given your knowledge and your instructions, I would say that this is probably a water vehicle's tools check, and you could probably do that with your, let's say, dexterity, because you are trying to teach these people how to be certain ways. So I'm going to say that that is fine. Let's do a roll for this. And it is with dexterity, and we are going to give you a normal roll. The DC is 13. Do you want to proceed? You have a +7, I think, to this.
I would like to proceed.
Okay. That is a 9.
Oh, jeez.
That is
Oh,
one
jeez.
failure. Unfortunately, just due to the nature of your shouting, you get a lot of instructions out. However, to the rest of the crew, it's not as coherent. It's not as kind of tightly knit as they're used to. And all of a sudden, a few of them kind of perform actions here that are slightly contrary to what you're expecting, what you're wanting. The sails begin to turn in the same direction that they are going. And all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, the ship is now being pulled alongside with them. And the sails themselves are currently like open. And because they're open, they're catching the air. And because they've kind of been let go ever so slightly, they're carrying you forward along the stream, probably a lot faster than you'd want. And they're not being guided in a direction that would be beneficial to you. Who would like to make the second check?
Could I study the wind patterns and try to like adjust some of the sails accordingly?
Okay, there's 2 checks you could potentially do for this. One would be a nature check with the adjusting of the actual like the checking the wind, or you could do an actual manual adjustment of the sails, and that would be much more an athletics check. Which one would you like to try and do?
The nature check.
Okay, for the nature check, it's a little bit difficult due to the kind of frantic occurrence that all of this is kind of going on. So I will say the DC for that is 16.
Do I have disadvantage still from the psychic attack?
You do.
Oh,
It hasn't been an hour. Actually, no, it would have been in about an hour. So right about now, your kind of mind returns to itself, and you feel your grogginess and kind of latent, almost senselessness disappear. It still hurts. The back of your mind is still pounding with this headache, but you're fine for now. Okay, yeah, with relatively little issue. You kind of put your finger up, you guesstimate the direction of the actual wind itself, and working with the rest of the crew, you do manage to successfully move the sails in a direction that would be counterproductive to those that are kind of pulling you into the midst of the dark lake. In fact, you act in a slightly perpendicular fashion and slightly backwards so that they can't really pull you as quickly as you hope, acting as the current below your boat. However, they are still pulling you, and you are still not out of the woods yet. Who would like to perform the next check?
We have our poison gone.
Sorry?
The poison's no longer affecting us.
Yes, the poison is gone. You still have like this pounding headache, but it doesn't actually like mechanically affect you anymore.
Hmm.
So, are we in the center of the vortex of these creatures? Or,
Yes,
like,
you are almost
Okay.
exactly in the center of them.
Here's a
and
question.
There's a
About-
lot of them.
If you had to describe like a radius of these things, a rough radius, like how big is the diameter if they're surrounding us in a circle? I'm just curious.
They're not surrounding you in a circle. It almost seems like they're kind of like passing by, and it just so happens that like their influence on the currents, the waves, and everything around them is
Yeah.
grabbing and dragging your boat along with them. And
Are they
it
all?
doesn't look like there's an actual end to them. Because glancing
Okay.
back towards the Zenibar Lake, you can see
Yeah.
hundreds, if not thousands, of these dark, shadowy shapes also
Yeah.
flowing this way with like these slightly open waves and kind of currents
Mm.
all across the surface of the lake. And it's crazy because you can
Mhm.
see nearly the entirety of the surface of the lake that is within your eyesight, just like foaming, bubbling, creating these like small waves from the movement of these creatures. And you
Mm.
still haven't even seen one of them, so you don't know what they are.
But they're relatively close to the surface. We could
They are
kind of
relatively
discern.
close to the
Okay.
surface.
Okay. But so they're carrying us in one direction particularly. So they're coming from one side of the boat,
Yes.
pushing. Okay.
Specifically, they are coming from the direction of the Zenibar Lake, pushing you
Mhm.
through the choke point where Voilin is located and into the
Okay.
center, or at the very least, from the best you can tell, towards the
Yeah.
center of the Dark Lake.
Okay. So they're kind of coming around and pushing us from west to east.
Yes.
Through this. Yeah. Okay.
Basically. So, who's making the next check? I need to put a timer on these things.
Yeah. It's like in the other skill challenges where the relative difficulty of something is based on like how far-fetched it is, I guess, or like how difficult it would be.
Yeah, how difficult it would be in this certain situation.
Well, Kavati feels like Kavati's watching us. What would the relative skill check be
For a
for
religion
me
check.
to pray for a religion check to pray for safe passage?
Divine intervention.
If
Divine
you're
intervention.
specifically asking
25.
for assistance from Kavati, this requires a 25.
That's crazy.
If you are using his guidance and his powers that you have been granted to perform
Yeah.
a feat, that is much lower.
Okay.
I could give you a suggestion if you'd like.
Me in particular?
Well, just the entire crew in general. It's up to you guys if you guys want to accept it or not.
I want
I have an idea. I don't really know what kind of skill check this would be, but a distraction of sorts. And if you're asking like what would I use, could I use like a bunch of ball bearings? I have ball bearings bag of 1,000.
Uh-huh.
What kind of check would it be? This
What do you exactly...
Fish like stuff. Fish
So,
like stuff.
tell me what exactly it is that you're trying to do with the
I want-
bag of ball bearings.
I
Are you
want
just
to-
throwing it into the water?
Progressively throw them kind of close to the boat so that, whatever creatures are near us would see it and then throw it farther and farther. Kind of like making a path to lead them away. Deception.
This would be a deception check with your intelligence modifier. I will tell you the DC before you roll it as well, just so you have that. The DC is 18.
Dang. These fish are not hungry.
From the best that you can tell aboard the actual ship itself, you can already tell that they seem to have a destination in mind. And they seem to have a reason why they're swimming so quickly towards it.
Are we the destination?
I can talk to fish or aquatic animals.
Okay.
Can they hear me?
You don't know?
Above the water? Interesting. Okay. I have to read my...
Reason with them?
1 second, let me get my laptop out. Reason with them? I don't know. Threaten them? Charm them? Whichever one has the highest chance of succeeding.
If you guys don't make a decision, you're just going to keep getting dragged, and I'm going to give you another failure.
Uh-oh.
Are there oars on the ship?
There are no oars aboard this ship.
God damn it. Are there anything oar-like?
There are small paddle boats which have oars.
Those don't reach the
Unfortunately,
water,
is there-
do they?
they do not.
Is there a big fish that passed us? Because there was a bunch of small ones that came out here, right?
They were all the same size. It was just the leader of that pack.
Okay.
And that first, then that
Could
first
I
fish is like fucking
Could I
gone.
okay. Could I? We have a bunch of arrows, right? Like harpoon-looking things
I don't
on
think
the ship.
so.
Not harpoons, but like those. Oh wait, we didn't have. He was getting the arrows built. Never
You
mind. Never mind.
commission them. You do not have them
We
yet.
commissioned them. Okay, yeah.
Here's my suggestion, because I'm just gonna like, because you guys are taking a little bit of time. One, you get another failure, and two, I'll give you a hint. The hint specifically is that maybe if you find out what it is, it could help you.
Do we have anything smelly on the ship?
Oh, we can
Wait,
toss
didn't
like
we have that?
meat
Wait,
overboard or
guys, didn't we have that
something.
chest with something in it, or something from before?
You mean
I
like the
swear.
plant? Like the.
No, we. I thought we had like a chest or something, or like something.
You can check
Well,
our ship
we had the
list.
jar with the blood or whatever. I thought we handed
Was
that
it
off.
that?
Oh, is there anything smelly in the ship? Where's the ship inventory?
You just toss like any like meat or something and see like it distracts them.
Oh, maybe can I thorn whip one of those shadows in the
You're gonna
water
try
and
and catch
see
one?
what it is?
Sure.
Yeah.
Give me an attack roll. I will say that this will count for one of your actions, and this will be, if you succeed, you will be able to get. Oh, that is unfortunate. I was gonna say if you succeed, you could get a success, but that does miss. Leonard, as you kind of like jump over on and hold onto the side of the ship, and you crack this thorn whip out, it manifests within your hand, and as you reach into the water, you try and grab one that's kind of like flying right past. It just goes right past it. But at the very least, as your thorn whip kind of hits the water, you could tell approximately how large these things are, and they are honestly relatively small, probably less than a foot in size each.
Oh yeah?
Well, that's what Leonard kind of saw as he hit the water with it. But that is another failure.
Are we in the dark portion of the lake yet, or?
You are not. You are still at the edges of it, but you are
Okay,
about to be dragged into the dark portions.
About to be dragged.
I think my audio broke. 1 second.
Oh yeah, sometimes it does that.
How fast are we traveling? Like, could my swimming speed keep up?
How fast is your swimming speed?
I think it's the same as my walking speed, so like 40 or 30, depending. Yeah, 30.
The answer is no.
Okay.
These
I want
things
to
are
swing
going.
into the.
Yeah, sorry.
Wait,
These
I
things are
have-
going like 70, 80 miles an hour, and
Oh.
they are dragging this boat alongside them. You're not going nearly as fast as they are, but like you are still going pretty heftily in speed.
Can I start like slinging my sling with like rocks at them, like
To try and
whatever
just like
shadows closest? Yeah, like
kill
try
a
to
few
hit
of
them with the
them?
rocks. Yeah, like maybe just knock them in the head.
okay, yeah, you could certainly try that. I will say that you can make an attack roll. Their AC, I will even tell you to you for this situation because it's like a special situation. You are in a skill challenge. If you do succeed this will kind of like give you a success. But their AC at this moment, because of how fast they are, it is 18.
Hmm.
You can try.
So I have something. It seems as though we have a large net in the ship storage. Can I put this over the side of the ship, specifically the west side where they're coming from, to disrupt their movement greatly? You said they're not that large, right?
They are not that large, and this
Okay.
net probably would work.
Even if someone had to help me, I don't have to do it by myself. But could I make some sort of athletics
Yes, sir.
strength?
This would
Yeah.
this would specifically be an athletics check, and the DC for this is 11.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Go for it.
You said it was just raw strength.
No, this is an athletics check.
Oh, it'd be athletics. Okay. In that case,
Ooh,
No way.
that's
No
I'm
shot.
speed rolling
unfortunate.
today.
I tried. I really tried.
You grab the net and you kind of like tie one end of it and then toss it overboard, but you realize, oh shit, right as you toss it, that you didn't tie up the other end. As it lands in the water, it just basically scatters to pieces as like a bunch of them hit the actual net itself, but
Mhm.
they don't really get dazed, they don't really get hurt, and the net kind of catches underneath the actual ship itself. You could probably recover it, but you'd have to wait until this occurrence is over.
To use it again.
So how many failures is that, Jake? 4?
That's 4 failures. You guys only have 1 success.
Nice. Okay,
Cool.
I have an idea. Is there any ropes tied to the over the ship, or can we tie a rope
Yeah, there's
over the ship?
tons of rope on the ship. There's like the actual
Could
rigging.
I-
There's like
I
proper
basically-
ropes. There's other things. Like what are you
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
yeah. Maury wants to kind of go down the rope. I don't know, get a better look at the thing. Maybe even stick his head in. We're not in the dark part of the lake, right? Yeah, right.
do? Not quite yet.
Have we been into the light part of the lake? Like tested it out? As in, will I faint?
I don't think anybody's jumped into it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Maury's going
Maury's just
in.
gonna climb down the rope, just hang off the side. Doesn't stick his head in, but he's gonna do a thunderclap
Oh.
inside the water.
Okay.
Ooh.
So he's trying to like disperse them with the large, like it's a thunderous sound. So I'm assuming if it's in the water, it's gonna be even worse for the fish.
Yes, this
That's new,
certainly
folks.
is. This DC. You know what? I am both being nice, and 2, this is also very, very clever. So I actually really like this. So I'm making the DC 5. Give me a spellcasting check with your spellcasting modifier.
Ooh.
No shot. Wait, that's damage.
Oh, that's damage out.
Wait, that's a con save. I'm
That's a
confused.
con save.
Why am I not rolling this?
It's a spellcasting check. You can just do it on your character sheets.
Yeah. Why is it still giving con save? That's weird.
Well,
I'm just clicking on the
that's because
spellbook.
you're clicking Thunderclap.
Is that not what I'm supposed to do?
What's
Why
your
is it doing
spellcasting
this?
modifier? It's charisma, right? So just roll me a d20 plus 6.
Okay.
If you click
1
spellbook,
D20.
there should be a way to cast it. Yeah, at the very bottom
There it
left. Yeah, at the bottom left, if you
Oof.
click like attack mod plus 6, like the plus 6 portion of it, it'll roll it for you. On your spellbook?
Oh yeah, it does.
Spellbook, yeah.
18,
I'm on my spellbook,
yes,
yes.
18
18.
does work definitely. So you have another success, and the rest of you watch as Moray kind of like just dips the tip of his finger within the actual water itself, closes his eyes, and this spell comes out. And to the rest of you, it's fucking loud as shit aboard the actual ship itself. You hear this like almost explosion seem to go off underneath the water itself. And to you, it's loud and it shakes the actual boat itself. But underneath the water, you can see that these creatures are affected by it so much more than you were, or the ship was. And it kind of like disrupts their entire movement current for a brief moment. And you can see a lot of them actually become stunned and stop moving. And glancing at them very quickly, give me a nature check, Moray.
Nature check.
This does not count towards
Oh.
the skill check, or the skill challenge, sorry.
Oh, so not disadvantage.
No, this is a disadvantage because you have a level of exhaustion. But just looking
yes.
at these creatures themselves, they honestly kind of look like flying fish. The ones with the kind of wings that spout off the side of their bodies, the ones that would like ever so slightly get above the surface of the water before dipping back below. But these ones look different. They look like they're built specifically for underwater swimming. Rather than their wings being like long and kind of like sideways, their wings are very much like wide and built alongside the sides of their bodies, almost like they're serpents. And you can see that they're very powerful and muscular to the point where they probably swim real fucking fast and with good reason for it. But as soon as you kind of like get a proper good look at one of them, the entire rest of the fleet begins to just slam into the back of them, and you can see that once again the current kind of continues onwards, even though you probably killed maybe like a dozen, maybe more of them, just in the immediate area. However,
Okay.
the numbers don't seem to subside though it does slow them down for a brief moment.
Do I use that
Yeah.
opening to find a different current that we could ride on to get out of here?
To try and maneuver the ship out of this current,
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm looking for a
to look for a
place for the
different.
ship.
Well, the thing is that this current is very easy to tell because it's just the one created by these creatures. If you get out of the current that they're created, it's like it's relatively easy to stay out.
Well, I'm looking for an opening in our current that we're stuck in from that underclap.
Yeah, sure. Give me a perception check. The DC would be 16, or actually, sorry, 15.
Oh, oh my
That is
god!
unfortunately one more failure. And that is boom. Skill challenge failed.
Are you kidding me? I didn't roll above a 10 the whole thing.
This is real unfortunate. You guys did absolutely. That's
Hey, hey, speak for yourself. My thunderclap clapped.
Your thunderclap was good. That is true. But for the rest of you, unfortunately, as you kind of watch for an opportunity, a chance, Leonard, to potentially maneuver or kind of steer the ship out of this current to get them out of this being pulled by these creatures. Unfortunately, as the rest of these fishes from like behind slam into the bottom and like the actual water underneath the ship, it just begins to lurch the ship forward. You're like, oh shit. Moray, you very quickly climb back aboard because you're literally hanging off the rope. But then you realize that it's probably a little too late. You're already caught in the center of this large wave that is pulling you towards the center of the dark lake. And honestly, you're not sure what's worse, that you're being pulled by an unknown creature or that you're going to be in the center of the dark lake. But now your ship picks up speed, and the sails are helpless to move you in or out of the actual current itself. And this column of fish is wide. This thing is like 70, 80 feet wide of just fish that are underneath the water, dragging you along towards the center of the dark lake. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to actually cut off the session here.
No.
Wait, I'm gonna pick up a plank. I'm gonna pick up a plank that's like a bat, and I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna hold that shit. I have Tavern Brawler.
Sure.
This is an improvised weapon.
That is